and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. We are going to be discussing last night's win in the Champions League in a lot more detail. It was our first performance without Lionel Messi and we overcame the obstacle of Inter Milan. It was a good all-round display and we are going to be discussing all of that and more coming up today. Let's do this. And I want to start first of all, guys, by discussing here the player influence. Who had the most influence out there? Where exactly was the game won and lost? And as you can see from this very handy graphic here, it was a lot of emphasis on that midfield area. And that's really, really important for me. Without Lionel Messi, without him dropping deep into midfield, helping us out in both attack and in transition, we need to have more emphasis on those midfield players, a lot more control, and most importantly, a lot more structure. Yesterday, we certainly had that. It was a brilliant performance, it was very balanced, and you can see here a lot of things went through Alba down the left. There was Arthur, Busquets and Rakitic really controlling and dominating the middle of the field. Roberto then out wide, and there was less emphasis on the attacking players. Luis Suarez, Rafinha wasn't involved a great deal, but they were involved when it really mattered, of course, with that first goal. Then there's Coutinho, who, like I said before the game, he needs to be that transition between midfield and attack, and I think he did that well yesterday. He was involved in a lot of the game, he was dropping deep when he needed to, and as you can see there, along with Arthur, Busquets and Rakitic, Coutinho was involved in those midfield areas, and I think that's a very balanced team, just like we saw yesterday, and I would like to see something very, very similar to that against Real Madrid. But look, I cannot talk about yesterday's performance without mentioning Arthur Melo and his individual display yesterday, the quality that we saw from that Brazilian midfield. There was so much to admire yesterday about his performance, once again performing on the big stage in an important Champions League game. The pressure was on at home. Without Messi, Arthur was brilliant in midfield. His performance was so good, in fact, that he received a massive ovation from the Camp Nou crowd when he was substituted, and there was even a few whistles for Ernesto Valverde for choosing to bring him off. But I just want to clear that up, because Valverde said after the game that he only subbed Arthur because he had a knock. In the second half, he picked up a knock, and he didn't want to take any risks ahead of El Clasico, which for me actually is really good news, because from those comments from Valverde and from his performance, you would have to imagine that Arthur here has gone a long, long way to securing his El Clasico starting place. He deserves to start against Real Madrid. With him in our midfield, that is going to be incredibly, incredibly exciting. And I just want to make a few further points really on that performance in a bit more detail, because I think fans from other clubs may be wondering, why are we getting so excited about these kind of displays from this midfielder Arthur? But if you are fans of other clubs wondering that exact fact, you've got to understand Arthur is literally the player now that we've been waiting for year upon year upon year. Not since Xavi have we had somebody with this kind of profile. Now, it's far, far too early to say that Arthur is going to be the new Xavi, but what you can say is the signs are very, very good. It had gotten to the point where we were wondering whether we'd ever see this kind of player again in our midfield. Would we ever see a controller, somebody in that profile willing to accept the ball, willing to play the ball? And now we have Arthur right here. And we spoke about his pass accuracy last night, which was almost perfect at 95%, but the perception is from some people that Arthur only plays the safe option, that he only plays sideways, that he only plays backwards, but I can assure you that is not the case. Nearly half of Arthur's completed passes yesterday were played forward. They were played in a forward manner, looking to make progress in the field, and many of them as well were played in the attacking third. And the passes that he does play sideways and backwards should not be just cast aside as something that anybody could do. Context here is very, very important, and I'm going to show you exactly why. Because a lot of you guys might say that, sideways, backward passes, there's no progress made, what's the point in them? But the thing with Arthur is, he is always available. When you need to pass to him, when you need somebody to pick up that ball, he is there. You look at this kind of position here. Ter Stegen is there, the centre-backs is split, as you see so often at Barcelona. Now, there's times when Busquets, usually the man who drops in and receives the ball, he's going to be marked. And when that happens, you have a problem. Because now Longley has the task of either going back and forth to Jordi Alba, not really making any progress, or he has to go long. He's got to go long and basically take a chance that we could lose the ball. But instead, Arthur gives you the option to switch plays. He can make himself available. All the time he does this, he makes himself available, he'll drift away from his man and he'll accept the ball. He'll then maybe play it back to Ter Stegen, or he'll play it out to Jordi Alba. But what he does do is change the angle. He gives you a different dimension, because from stepping away from Brozovic here, he drags him out, then you might have Coutinho who drop in here, here, and suddenly it's a pass between the lines and we could be away. That is massive. Having somebody there who wants to take on that responsibility, who wants to receive the ball and makes himself available, giving players options is a vital part of passing and moving in football. And Arthur in that midfield, with those kind of characteristics, it opens up so many doors. And as much as I would like to make this the Arthur Melo show, we do have to talk about some other aspects of yesterday's game. Arturo Vidal is our next port of call, and I have to say, just like I did in the review, he came on with a point to prove, with a determination, a desire to really put down a marker, and I think he did exactly that. It only took 12 minutes really of him being on the pitch. He made 2 successful tackles, 2 interceptions and 3 ball recoveries. He had a huge part in the second goal with his movement, bursting into the final third, making a run, taking a risk. There was so much energy, a lot of intensity, aggression from Vidal's performance, and all of those kind of qualities that could be extremely useful for us as the season goes on. Right throughout our season, we're going to need a player like that in our team, and especially when you think of those really tight, really aggressive, competitive Champions League games in the knockout rounds, we're going to need somebody like Vidal, and I'm very, very happy that we've got that option. And now, guys, I would like to take the opportunity to talk once again about that second goal, but with a lot more emphasis on Jordi Alba, because it was only from watching this game back that I really did see the magic that takes place here from Alba. Obviously, Vidal's involved, Rakitic gets the assist, but I want to put emphasis here on the first touch of Jordi Alba, which is absolutely impeccable. It's a wonderful first touch, and that touch gives him the goal. It's as simple as that, because you can see here, as the pass comes in from Ivan Rakitic, it's Jordi Alba's touch here, which takes him completely away from Milan Skriniar. It's a brilliant touch that opens up the entire pitch, allows him to run onto it, into the box, and with that single deft touch of his left foot, he's away from Skriniar. He's running into the area, he can't catch him. You can see here he's trying to play catch up, he then muscles him off the ball, and what you have to say is, it's an absolutely sensational finish from Jordi Alba. Across Handanovic, a brilliant goal, a fantastic second goal for a man who's been in brilliant form this season, but it all stemmed from that first touch, and that is why, you have to say it right now, Jordi Alba, arguably the best left back in the world. And now we will move on to Clement Longley, one man really who was extremely unlucky yesterday in terms of in front of goal. He's very, very close to scoring, which would have been his very first Barcelona goal. He was denied in the first half with a header by Handanovic, headed down into the ground, bounced off Handanovic, and in the second half as well, it was a close range effort, this time with a shot, and he was very, very close to scoring again. And he does look a real threat from set pieces, free kicks, corners. He'll be trying to get on the end of them. Longley and Piqué together can be a bit of a force, to be honest, from set pieces when they're really up for it. And he spoke after the game with some words that I did enjoy quite a lot. He said that it was a shame that he didn't score tonight, but he hoped his first goal came against Real Madrid. Longley determined to score, and determined to score this Sunday in El Clasico. And we've spoken about so many good things from yesterday's win, but I want to finish on something maybe not so good in the negative light, and it's about Ousmane Dembele, and it's more of a discussion because there's a report that's come out from Sport regarding Dembele and his attitude. Now, I'm not saying this is 100% true, I'm not there in training, I don't know what happens, I simply want your thoughts on it, whether it is or not. They basically say that Dembele's attitude right now is not good enough, and they're not talking about only on the pitch, they're talking as well about off the pitch. Apparently, his teammates are growing really tired of the fact that he repeatedly turns up late for training. That lack of professionalism is not going down around the Barcelona dressing room, and it basically says that if he doesn't sort it out, if he doesn't really buck up that attitude, he is going to be on the bench for the rest of the season, and potentially it might not be looking good for his Barcelona career. Now, that might be Sport blowing things way out of proportion. There might be an element of truth to that. Dembele has had a few attitude problems in the past that have been looked into in the Spanish media, but I want to know your thoughts. What do you think is going on right now with Dembele? Is it simply about bad performance? Is he simply being overlooked by Valverde? Or is there something deeper there that we can't all see behind the scenes, but it is there and is causing problems? So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on that, guys. And of course, let me know your thoughts on the rest of it as well. From Arthur to Alba to Vidal to Longley. Let me know down below, and I will see you very soon indeed. There is going to be Clasico build-up coming up right here, and I can't wait for it. I'll see you then, but until then, as always, Visca El Barça.